The rain came down in sheets that night, turning the dusty road into a river of mud. Sarah pressed herself against the overhang of the abandoned gas station, her thin jacket doing little to protect her from the cold that seeped into her bones. She'd been traveling for 3 days now, each mile taking her farther from the life she'd left behind and closer to, what? She didn't know. All she knew was that she couldn't go back. Her stomach growled, reminding her that the last meal she'd eaten was a stale sandwich from a truck stop 24 hours ago. The money she'd scraped together before leaving was nearly gone, and the small town she'd hoped to reach before nightfall was still 15 miles away according to the last road sign she'd passed. The truck that had given her a ride had dropped her here, the driver muttering something about needing to turn off the main road. Now she was alone, cold, and beginning to wonder if she'd made a terrible mistake. Headlights cut through the darkness, and Sarah instinctively stepped back into the shadows. She'd learned to be cautious about who she trusted on the road. But the vehicle, a large pickup truck that had seen better days, slowed and then stopped. The engine idled for a moment before the driver's side door opened. A man stepped out, tall and broad-shouldered, wearing a worn cowboy hat that dripped water from its brim. He looked to be in his late 30s, with a weathered face that spoke of long days in the sun and wind. His eyes, even in the dim light, were kind but weary. "You all right, miss?" he called out, his voice rough but gentle. "This isn't exactly the safest place to be stranded at night." Sarah hesitated, weighing her options. She could lie, pretend she was fine, wait for him to drive away. But the truth was, she wasn't fine. She was exhausted, hungry, and scared. Something in his manner, the genuine concern in his voice, made her step forward into the light. I've been better," she admitted, wrapping her arms around herself. "My ride left me here. I was trying to make it to Millbrook." The man studied her for a moment, and Sarah felt self-conscious about her appearance. She knew she looked rough. Her curly hair was plastered to her head from the rain, her clothes were rumpled from days of travel, and she was sure there were dark circles under her eyes. She'd always been a big girl, something her ex had never let her forget, and standing before this stranger, she felt every insecurity rise to the surface. "Millbrook's a ways from here," he said, pushing his hat back slightly. "And this storm's only getting worse. I'm Jack Morrison. I run a ranch about 10 miles west of here. It's not much, but it's dry and warm, and I can offer you a hot meal and a safe place to spend the night." Every warning bell should have been ringing in Sarah's head. She knew the statistics, knew the dangers of going anywhere with a strange man in the middle of nowhere. But she also knew hypothermia, knew what desperation felt like, and something in Jack Morrison's eyes told her he wasn't offering out of anything but genuine concern. "I don't want to impose," she said carefully. "You wouldn't be. Truth is, I could use the company." He paused, seeming to wrestle with something. "I've got 2 little girls at home. Their grandmother usually watches them, but she's in the hospital right now, broke her hip last week. I've been managing, but it's been hard. They're 7 and 9, and they need someone who knows how to do more than burn breakfast and forget to comb out tangles." There was something vulnerable in his admission, something that made Sarah's heart ache. She thought of those 2 little girls, probably missing their grandmother, probably confused about why their world had been turned upside down. "I'm Sarah," she said finally, "and I appreciate the offer. I promise I'm not a crazy person, for what it's worth." A smile tugged at the corner of his mouth. "Well, that makes one of us. Come on, let's get you out of this rain." The drive to the ranch was quiet, with only the sound of rain pounding on the roof and the windshield wipers working overtime. Jack told her about the ranch. It had been in his family for 3 generations, cattle mostly, some horses. He'd taken it over when his father passed away 5 years ago. His wife, he said quietly, had died 2 years ago in a car accident, leaving him alone with their daughters. "I'm so sorry," Sarah murmured, understanding now the depth of sadness she'd seen in his eyes. "Life goes on," he said simply. "Has to, for the girls' sake. Emma and Lily, they're my whole world. But I'm not blind to the fact that they need things I can't give them. Female guidance, gentle hands, someone who knows how to braid hair without making it look like a bird's nest. Sarah couldn't help but smile at that image. As they turned onto a gravel road, she could make out the shapes of buildings in the distance. A large house, a barn, several outbuildings. It looked sturdy and well-maintained, despite the harsh elements. When they pulled up to the house, the front door burst open and two small figures came running out onto the porch, heedless of the rain. They were in pajamas, one in pink with unicorns, the other in purple with stars. "Daddy," the smaller one called. "We were worried. You were gone so long." Jack hurried around to help Sarah from the truck, then rushed his daughters back inside. The warmth of the house hit Sarah like a physical thing, and she nearly wept with relief. The interior was exactly what she'd expected from a working ranch: practical furniture, worn but clean, with touches that spoke of a woman's presence now absent. Family photos lined the walls, and toys were scattered in organized chaos in one corner. "Girls, this is Miss Sarah. She's going to stay with us tonight because she got caught in the storm. I want you to be polite and helpful, okay?" Two sets of curious eyes examined Sarah. The older girl, who must be Emma, had her father's dark hair and serious expression. Lily, younger and more delicate, had blonde hair and eyes that sparkled with mischief. "Are you pretty?" Lily asked suddenly. "Daddy says we need someone pretty to be our new mommy." "Lily!" Jack's face flushed red. "I never said, that's not what I—" Sarah laughed, a real laugh for the first time in days. "Well, I don't know about pretty, but I'm definitely soggy. You look like a drowned puppy," Emma observed with the brutal honesty of a 9-year-old. "But puppies are nice. Do you like puppies?" "We have 3. I love puppies," Sarah assured her. "But right now, I think I'd love a towel even more." Jack scrambled to get her settled, bringing fresh towels, lending her an old flannel shirt and sweatpants that were comically large but blissfully dry. While she changed in the guest bathroom, she could hear him in the kitchen, the sounds of dishes and silverware, voices raised in conversation. When she emerged, her hair wrapped in a towel, she found the table set with steaming bowls of soup and fresh bread. They ate together, and Sarah found herself relaxing in a way she hadn't in months. The girls chattered about their day, about school and friends and the goat that had gotten loose and eaten Emma's homework. For real, not like in the stories. Jack listened with patient attention, occasionally interjecting with questions or gentle corrections. After dinner, as Jack cleared the dishes, Emma approached Sarah hesitantly. "Miss Sarah? Do you know how to do French braids? Grandma used to do them for me, but Daddy—" She trailed off diplomatically. "Daddy makes them too tight and they hurt," Lily supplied helpfully. Sarah glanced at Jack, who shrugged sheepishly. "What can I say? I'm better with livestock than hair." "I can do French braids," Sarah said, and Emma's face lit up. She settled on the floor in front of Sarah, passing up a hairbrush and elastics, and Sarah began the familiar motions. Her own mother had taught her, years ago, and she practiced on her younger cousins. Her hands moved with muscle memory, gentle and sure. "That doesn't hurt at all," Emma said wonderingly. "And it's so neat. Do mine next." Lily bounced over. "Please, please, please." Sarah obliged, and as she braided Lily's finer hair, she caught Jack watching from the kitchen doorway. His expression was complicated, grateful, sad, something else she couldn't quite identify. When it was time for the girls to go to bed, they both hugged Sarah goodnight, their small arms fierce around her waist. "Will you still be here in the morning?" Lily whispered. "I will," Sarah promised, surprising herself with how much she meant it. After the girls were tucked in, Sarah and Jack sat in the living room with mugs of coffee. The rain had finally slowed to a gentle patter against the windows, and the house felt cozy and safe in a way Sarah had almost forgotten was possible. "Thank you," Jack said finally. "For tonight. For being kind to them. They haven't smiled like that in a while. They're wonderful girls," Sarah said honestly. "You're doing a good job with them." He shook his head. "I'm doing my best, but my best isn't enough. They need more than I can give them." When Mama Grace, that's their grandmother, when she fell, I realized how fragile everything is. What happens when she can't help anymore? What happens as they get older and need things I don't understand? Sarah understood the fear in his voice, the desperation of a parent trying to be everything and knowing it's impossible. Where do you go from here? She asked softly. I don't know. He looked at her directly then, and she saw the question in his eyes before he asked it. You said you were heading to Millbrook? Do you have a job waiting there? Family? No, Sarah admitted. I was just running towards something new. Running away from something old. I left a bad situation, scraped together what money I could, and decided anywhere had to be better than where I was. Jack nodded slowly. I know I'm probably crazy for even thinking this, let alone saying it out loud. We just met, you're a stranger, and this is probably the most insane thing I've ever considered. But Sarah, I need help. The girls need help. And you need shelter, a safe place to land. What if, and you can absolutely say no, I won't be offended, but what if you stayed? Just for a while, until you figure out what's next. I can pay you, not much, but room and board and enough to save up. You could help with the girls, help around the house. Give yourself time to breathe and plan. Sarah's heart pounded. Every logical part of her brain screamed that this was a terrible idea. But another part, the part that had felt something ease in her chest when Emma had smiled after getting her braid done, the part that had felt safe for the first time in years sitting at that dinner table, whispered that maybe, just maybe, this was exactly what she needed. You don't know anything about me, she pointed out. I could be a terrible person. Could be, Jack agreed. But I don't think so. I'm a pretty good judge of character, have to be in ranching, judging livestock and men both. And my girls liked you immediately. Kids know things we adults forget. He paused. Besides, you could say the same about me. I could be anyone. But you're not, Sarah said. You're just a man trying his best for his daughters. I can see that. They sat in silence for a long moment, the weight of the decision hanging between them. Sarah thought about the road ahead, about Millbrook and the uncertainty that awaited her there. She thought about Emma's careful seriousness and Lily's bubbling laughter. She thought about the warmth of this house, the feeling of being needed, the possibility of belonging somewhere again. I'll stay, she said finally. For a while. Until your mother-in-law is back on her feet, at least. And we'll see how it goes. Jack's smile was like sunrise breaking through storm clouds. Come with me then, Sarah. Let's see if we can help each other out. As Sarah lay in the guest bed that night, listening to the old house settle around her, she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time: hope. Tomorrow would bring its own challenges, its own uncertainties. But for tonight she was warm, dry, and safe. And two little girls sleeping down the hall needed her. Maybe that was enough. Maybe that was everything.